After 30, something subtle but brutal changes in the world around you. Not because life becomes harder, but because the rules everyone swore were true quietly stop applying. In your 20s, you are judged by potential. After 30, you are judged by results. People stop giving you time. They stop giving you sympathy. They stop giving you second chances. And most importantly, they stop playing fair. This is the moment Machiavelli becomes relevant, not as a symbol of manipulation, but as a guide for navigating a world where power, perception, and strategy matter more than good intentions. Welcome to Machiavelli's Code. In this video, we reveal the harsh truth. After 30, people stop playing fair. Life doesn't reward effort, honesty, or loyalty anymore. Opportunities are taken by those who understand the game and move strategically. Drawing on Machiavelli's timeless wisdom, we'll show you how to navigate a world of self-interest, build real leverage, and protect your life from those who quietly exploit others. If you want to stop being a victim of the rules nobody told you existed and start mastering the game of life, stay tuned until the end. 1. After 30, fairness fades and self-interest rises. As you get older, you start to see something you were blind to for years. People don't just protect their careers. They protect their comfort, their image, and the fragile pieces of themselves they never admit exist. They guard their reputations like currency. They hide their insecurities behind confidence they don't really feel. And suddenly, you realize the truth. Most people are not driven by logic, but by quiet fear. They avoid risk, not because the path is dangerous, but because failure would expose them. They compare themselves to you in silence. They measure your progress against their own, even when they pretend not to care. And they collaborate only when it benefits them, strategically, selectively, cautiously. At first, you think opportunities simply disappear. You think life is random. You think timing is just bad luck. But when you look closely, when you finally see the game for what it is, something clicks inside you. Opportunities aren't lost. They're taken by people who move with intention while everyone else moves with emotion. Taken by people who study the room while others seek approval. Taken by people who act with strategy while others wait for the right moment. Taken by people who understand that life rewards clarity, not hesitation. You begin to notice that the world doesn't pause for anyone. It doesn't slow down for your doubts, your fears, or your uncertainty. While you hesitate, someone else is already stepping forward. While you question yourself, someone else is claiming the space you were too humble to take. While you're hoping things fall into place, someone else is quietly arranging the pieces. And that's when the shift happens. The moment you stop living on hope and start living with strategy. The moment you stop assuming fairness and start understanding reality. You stop waiting for permission. You stop waiting for signs. You stop waiting for life to choose you. Because now you see the truth. In this world, nothing is given freely. Everything is claimed by those brave enough to act. And once you understand that, you stop fearing the game, and you finally start playing it. 2. Machiavelli's first lesson. Stop expecting the world to reward kindness. You grow up being told that hard work is everything, that if you stay honest, if you keep your integrity, if you show up every day and give your best, life will eventually reward you. And don't get it wrong. Hard work does matter. Honesty does matter. Integrity does matter. But life has its own rules, and none of these promises you progress. You start realizing this the moment you step into the real world, The moment you see people who work half as hard rising twice as fast, not because they're more deserving, but because they understand something most people ignore. Life is not a straight line. It's a strategy. This is where Machiavelli steps in like a cold whisper of truth. He says, "In a world driven by self-interest, good intentions without strategy create victims, not leaders." It hits you harder than you expect, because suddenly you recognize yourself, all the times you tried to be the good one, the reliable one, the kind one, and ended up overlooked, underestimated, or used, not because you lacked value, but because you had no strategy. The game isn't evil. It isn't cruel. It isn't morally broken. It's simply competitive. Everyone is trying to survive. Everyone is trying to rise. Everyone is protecting their own story. And once you see the world through this lens, something inside you changes forever. You stop taking things personally. You stop wondering why people don't appreciate your effort. You stop asking why others move faster while you're still waiting for recognition. You understand that intention alone is not enough. You need direction. You need clarity. You need a plan. You start acting intentionally. You begin choosing where your energy goes. You start saying no without guilt. You stop over-explaining yourself to people who never cared to understand. You realize that power isn't about crushing others. It's about no longer allowing the world to crush you. You learn to make moves quietly. You learn to position yourself instead of proving yourself. You learn that self-respect means protecting your value with the same force others protect theirs. And in that moment, you stop being someone who hopes the world will be fair, and you become someone who sees the world clearly, someone who moves with intention, not emotion, not a victim, not a follower, but a leader of your own life. 3. The new currency. After 30, usefulness plus leverage. Being reliable isn't enough. Being good isn't enough. Being talented isn't enough. In a world driven by competition, these things make you visible, but they don't make you powerful. You need position, a place in the game where your presence actually matters. You need options, so you never feel trapped or forced into choices that break you. And most importantly, you need leverage, that quiet strength that ensures no single person, opportunity, or system can flip your life upside down. Because the truth is simple. The world respects those who cannot be easily cornered. It listens to those who have something solid behind them, and it bends, even slightly, for those who carry leverage instead of desperation. This is where Machiavelli becomes brutally practical. Not dark, not evil, just real. He teaches that strength is not built in loud declarations, but in silent preparation. So you build skills that are rare, the kind that make you difficult to replace and impossible to ignore. You build connections that are strategic, not based on flattery or neediness, but on mutual value and respect. You build a reputation that walks into rooms before you do, a name that signals competence, stability, and quiet power. Because when you have leverage, you stop chasing approval. You stop fearing loss. And you stop negotiating from weakness. You begin to operate differently. Your no becomes stronger. Your yes becomes intentional. Your presence becomes something people calculate around. Most people live depending on one job, one relationship, one opportunity, one source of validation. They don't realize how fragile that makes them, how easily controlled, how easily replaced. But you're building something different. You're creating a foundation that can't be shaken by one bad day or one person's opinion. You're learning the quiet art of becoming someone who doesn't beg for a seat, because you can always build your own table. And once you understand that, once you understand the power of position, options, and leverage, You stop playing small. You start playing strategically. That's when life begins to shift. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but inevitably, in your favor. 4. Silent strategy becomes your best defense. After 30, you learn a harsh truth. Broadcasting your dreams doesn't inspire people. It invites judgment. The moment you speak too loudly about what you want, everyone suddenly becomes a critic, or worse, a gatekeeper. Oversharing your plans doesn't create support. It creates control. People start giving you advice that limits you, opinions that discourage you, and expectations that box you in. Explaining yourself doesn't bring understanding. It opens the door to manipulation. The more someone knows about your fears, your desires, your weaknesses, the easier it becomes for them to shape your decisions. So, you begin to move differently. Not out of fear, but out of wisdom. You move with calm, because chaos only feeds those who want to shake your confidence. You move with clarity, because the person who knows where they're going doesn't need permission or applause. And you move with quiet confidence, that powerful, unshakable energy that doesn't need to announce anything. Silence becomes your strategy. Discretion becomes your armor, and progress becomes your answer. When you stop talking and start building, life begins to shift. People stop underestimating you. Opportunities stop slipping through your fingers. Energy that was once wasted on justification gets redirected into execution. You don't need everyone to understand you. You don't need validation, approval, or applause. Your results will tell the story, loudly, clearly, and without negotiation. In a world full of noise, the quiet one who moves with intention is the one who wins. Let them see your results, not your preparation. 5. Choose your circle with precision. Not everyone clapping for you is cheering. Some clap just to keep you performing, so they can watch you fail from the front row. Not everyone giving you advice wants clarity. Some offer wisdom only to blur your vision, plant doubt in your mind, and slow down your momentum. And not everyone asking questions is interested in your success. Some simply want information, ammunition, to use when your back is turned. As you grow older, especially after 30, you begin to see the difference. People don't always reveal their intentions with words. They reveal them through patterns. Who supports you when it costs them nothing? And who supports you when it costs them something? Who cheers for your progress? And who only cheers when you stay beneath them? This is where Machiavelli becomes brutally honest. He wrote, "A prince must choose allies carefully, those who rise with him, not those who drain him." He wasn't talking about enemies. Enemies are obvious. It's the disguised ones that are dangerous. Life becomes less about who you like and more about who strengthens your direction. Less about old friendships and more about aligned values. Less about emotional loyalty and more about strategic clarity. After 30, your circle either accelerates your life or quietly sabotages decades of it. Some people push you forward. Some people pull you backward. And some people keep you exactly where you are, stagnant, confused, doubting yourself, because your growth threatens their comfort. So you start paying attention. You notice who listens without envy, who gives without expecting, who celebrates without comparison. You begin to protect your plans. You begin to limit your access. You begin to understand that your future depends less on how hard you work and more on who you allow close enough to influence your decisions. This isn't paranoia. It's maturity. Your peace, your ambition, your discipline. These are resources, and resources must be guarded. The truth is simple. Your environment shapes your destiny. Your circle shapes your confidence. Your supporters shape your path. Choose wisely, move carefully, and surround yourself not with noise, but with people who rise with you, not drain you. That single decision can alter the next decade of your life. 6. Your image becomes a form of power. Not superficial beauty, but presence, discipline, and self-respect. These are the traits that make a person unforgettable, not because people admire them, but because people feel them. It's in how you stand, grounded, steady, unshaken by the noise around you. It's in how you speak, not loudly, but with a calm certainty that makes others listen. And it's in how you respond under pressure, choosing composure over chaos, clarity over panic, dignity over reaction. These are the real signals, signals that silently whisper, "Handle me carefully." You don't need to announce your worth. You don't need to prove your strength. You don't need to convince anyone to treat you right. Your behavior does the talking. Your discipline sets the tone. Your boundaries define the standard, and the world adjusts. People become more cautious with their words, more respectful with their actions, more intentional around you. Because deep strength doesn't intimidate through aggression. It intimidates through certainty. But here's the hard truth. The world will not always play fair. People will test you. Circumstances will pressure you. Life will hand you situations where being nice or hopeful isn't enough. That's when you must become someone who commands fairness, not through force, not through begging, but through sheer presence and unshakable internal power. Strength is not about being loud. It's not about confrontation. It's about being so rooted in who you are that no one can tilt your center. It's about carrying yourself in a way that makes people think twice before crossing a line. This is the kind of quiet power Machiavelli admired. This is the kind of internal armor stoicism builds. When you embody discipline, when you respect yourself, when you act with intention, you stop asking the world to treat you well, because you naturally set the terms. And once you reach that level, everything shifts. Conversations shift, opportunities shift, even the people around you shift. Not because you demanded respect, but because you became someone who makes respect the only reasonable response. That is real power. 7. Emotional discipline becomes essential. Not suppression, but control. There's a difference. Suppression is burying emotions until they rot inside you. Control is mastering them so they don't control you. And after 30, this becomes essential. Because people form narratives faster than you think. One emotional explosion, one moment of anger, one slip in self-discipline can erase years of credibility, years of effort, years of becoming who you are. It's unfair, but it's reality. The older you get, the less grace the world gives you. Every reaction becomes a signal. Every response becomes data people use to judge your stability, your maturity, your reliability. So you evolve, not to impress anyone, but to protect what you've built. You learn to pause instead of react. You learn to observe instead of assume. You learn to calculate instead of explode. And you learn to respond with intention, not impulse. That pause, that split second of awareness, is where your power lives. It's what separates those who collapse under pressure from those who rise above it. It's what separates an emotional mess from a strategic mind. This is exactly what Machiavelli taught in his writings. His princes were not cold or emotionless. They were disciplined, calm on the outside, aware on the inside. They understood that public composure is a form of strength. It disarms enemies, it earns respect, and it keeps control firmly in their hands. You don't need to shout to be heard. You don't need to argue to be understood. You don't need to break to prove you feel. Your power is in your restraint, not because you are weak, but because you are capable of more and choose control instead. Life after 30 is not about how loudly you express yourself. It's about how effectively you manage your energy, how intelligently you navigate conflict, how deliberately you protect your peace. People may test you, circumstances may shake you, but your reaction, your calm, your clarity, your controlled presence becomes your armor. And when you master that, you stop being predictable. You stop being easy to manipulate. You stop being emotionally available for anyone's games. You become someone who moves with quiet confidence, unreadable yet intentional, calm yet powerful. Just like Machiavelli's princes, steady in the face of chaos, unbreakable in the face of pressure, calm on the outside, fully aware on the inside. That is the strength that changes everything. 8. Build a life that cannot be taken from you. In your 30s, something shifts quietly inside you. You stop waiting for someone to choose you, not a company, not a friend group, not a mentor, not anyone who once made you feel like their approval was the gateway to your future. You realize no one is coming to discover you. No one is coming to validate your potential. No one is coming to hand you the life you want. So you start choosing yourself. You build skills, not just to survive, but to become valuable in any room. Skills that give you power because they make you difficult to replace. You build networks, not fake friendships, not desperate connections, but strategic relationships built on respect and mutual growth. You build options, so you never depend on one job, one opportunity, one opinion, or one person. Options give you leverage. Leverage gives you freedom, and you build identity, a sense of self that doesn't collapse when someone rejects you or misunderstands you. You stop asking, "Who will choose me?" and start asking, "Who am I choosing to become?" This is where everything changes. You stop asking, "Why don't they play fair?" as if the world owes you fairness, as if systems built on competition will suddenly reward innocence. Instead, you begin asking, "How can I become someone they can't afford to play unfair with?" That question is power. That question is strategy. That question turns weakness into momentum. This is the Machiavellian shift, subtle, internal, and irreversible. The moment you stop acting like the victim of the game and start acting like a player of the game, not manipulative, not cold, just aware. Aware that life responds to strength, preparation, and confidence far more than it responds to hope. You stop relying on chances and start creating them. You stop waiting for permission and start giving it to yourself. You stop trying to fit into closed doors and start building doors of your own. And people feel the difference. They treat you differently. They speak to you differently. They calculate around you differently. Because someone who chooses themselves becomes someone others cannot ignore. This is the era where your identity becomes intentional, your moves become strategic, and your life becomes something you actively shape, not something you passively accept. From victim of the game, to student of the game, to player of the game. That's the evolution, and once it begins, there's no going back. 9. The only way to win. You don't become cold. You don't become ruthless. You don't become manipulative. Growth doesn't harden you into a villain. It sharpens you into someone who finally sees the world without illusion. You become aware of intentions, aware of patterns, aware of energies people try to hide. You become strategic, not reactive, not emotional, but deliberate in every move you make. And you become unshakable, not because life gets easier, but because your understanding of it becomes clearer. People misunderstand Machiavelli. They think he encouraged darkness. He didn't. He simply warned you not to assume the world operates by the same moral code you do. Machiavelli never said to abandon morality, only to stop assuming others share it. Your code remains intact. Your integrity remains your anchor. Your character remains the foundation you stand on. But now, your strategy finally matches the reality of the world around you. You stop expecting fairness in a competitive environment. You stop giving trust where it hasn't been earned. You stop confusing intentions with actions. You stop playing life on easy mode while everyone else is playing to win. This doesn't make you harsh. It makes you effective. It makes you centered. It makes you dangerous in the best possible way. Someone who can't be manipulated, guilt-tripped, or thrown off balance. Because once you understand how the game works, you stop participating blindly. You stop being surprised by people's inconsistencies. You stop feeling betrayed by realities you should have anticipated. You walk through life differently, with power, with calm, with clarity. Not because the world becomes fair, but because you become strong enough to navigate its unfairness with intelligence and discipline. This is how you survive a world that rewards strategy over innocence. This is how you protect your peace without shrinking your ambition. This is how you stop getting hurt by people who were never aligned with your values in the first place. You master the game no one told you was being played, and you do it without losing who you are. That is the real evolution. Not becoming colder, but becoming smarter. Not becoming ruthless, but becoming rooted. Not becoming manipulative, but becoming impossible to manipulate. That's what power looks like in a world like this. After 30, the world won't wait for you to catch up. Fairness is rare. Strategy is everything. The choice is yours. Stay passive and let life dictate your path, or embrace Machiavelli's code, sharpen your mind, and walk through life with power, calm, and clarity. If this video gave you insight into mastering the game life doesn't explain, smash that like button, subscribe to Machiavelli's Code, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a lesson in strategy and real-world power. Comment below. What's the first step you're taking today to play the game on your own terms?